Does Jonathan Toews tickle your fancy, Rosie? Because supposedly he is ready to go. He told his agent, Pat Brisson, the other day he's 100% committed to coming back to the NHL next season. Brisson said everything is open with respect to potential suitors, including Toronto. In fact, he told me directly because I texted Pat yesterday. He's like, firstly, who the fuck are you? Secondly, that's my answer. And you can say that you talked to me. So there it is. But all cards are on the table. He's 37. Hasn't played a game since April 13th, 2023, but he's still Jonathan Toews, man.
Yeah, I would agree. You look at his hockey DB, and he's got 3 Stanley Cups just sitting there in the not so distant past. Interesting thing, man. Went through some personal stuff, some mental stuff. Always difficult, always tough to see, and kind of fell off the map in a hurry and in a big way. But then when he comes back on people's radar here with those tweets and those reports, you start to think about what that guy was. Like, they called him Mr. Serious because he was just the consummate professional. He did things the right way. He understood what it took to win in an era where it was not more difficult to win, but it was more of the stuff that I think the Leafs are lacking, right? So that is intriguing. I imagine there'll be more than a handful of teams whose interest is piqued by this revelation on a chance to get a guy with his pedigree back on the team. I have no idea what he's going to look like, what his speed and his timing and his agility and his abilities out there will be physically with taking that much time off. It's kind of rare to have a guy at that age with that much time off for whatever reason. It's very interesting. I wonder what he's going to command, how much, if there's going to be a bidding war for him, or if someone's just going to throw a flyer at him. I don't know, but I don't know. Like the thought of him in a Maple Leafs uniform, like what would his role be? Would John, like he's similar to John Tavares in some ways. Obviously had more success in a different organization with winning. So I like that idea. I like his experience in winning and knowing what that takes. He was the captain of those teams. He was the leader. He was Mr. Serious. He led the charge. He's not going to do that on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I think his experience would be invaluable. What kind of money would he make? What do you think he's going to command? What kind of contract? Is it a PTO? I have no idea, but it's certainly an interesting conversation. What's your take on it?
I think it's league minimum. I think he's got to show that he can still play in the NHL, man. We're talking about over 2 years since your last game. And if you're asking me right now, I think the likeliest destination, whether they'll admit it or not, is the Winnipeg Jets. He's from Manitoba. Adam Lowry's out for the next 6 months after surgery. That's their captain. Like, there's a huge void up the middle in general with that team. But I think from the Toews perspective, it would make a lot of sense. But I think Toronto would sniff around for sure, man. You talk about dogs. Jonathan Toews is a dog. I don't care if he's 47, 57, 37. I'm not sure how much left he has in that tank. Like that's a long, long time off. I understand he was going through some stuff, but I think from a team perspective, I'm not giving him more than 1 year at League Min to find out what he truly has left.
And sure, that's what you would want to get him at. Is someone else going to go, no, I got you at 1.1, and then someone's else like, well, I can do 1.3. Like, it'll be interesting to see how much interest there is in the guy. Obviously, you'd love to get him and try him out. Like Pacioretty, for example, everyone thought that his injury history was too much to overcome, and no one gave him anything. And you got him on a PTO for crying out loud, and he turned out to be fairly valuable at that. So, again, yeah, I agree with you. I think that they could. I'm not going to say, like people are so annoying because they're like, oh, what you think you think it's 2012 and he's going to come back and be limit? It's like, nobody said that, dude, but his pedigree is this, his experience is that, his personality is X, and you're like, wow, he checks some boxes. And again, he's not a $5, $6, $7 million player. He's going to be at the low end of the spectrum. And it's like, okay, well, where are you going to spend $900,000 elsewhere on an absolute nobody? That's who. So my interest is certainly piqued by what he would look like. And he knows how to train at the highest level. He knows how to get in shape. He knows his body as well as any, a professional athlete would. I imagine he would come in and say, you say what he has to give and what he has left in the tank. Well, I imagine after a lot of soul searching and going through what he did personally, I imagine his perspective on things is exactly where it should be. I imagine his hunger and his drive to maybe finish on a note that he can live with, that he's proud of, is probably forefront in his mind. I imagine he'd be a man who is willing to, finish his career on the right note, and is willing to, I think he's got a lot left in the tank, and is willing to empty it to try to get his career to where he wants it and finish on the right note. I mean, that's important to athletes. So it's certainly intriguing. I'm going to be watching this and see where the buzz goes, and how much, if at all, the Maple Leafs are trying to persuade him to come to Toronto. It would be a very interesting story.
Screw it. Bring in Patrick Kane too. Kane and Toews. Let's go retro Chicago Blackhawks on this bitch, because those guys are dogs. I think Toews is a dog, and at the very least, I'm making that call. And Brisson did tell me next couple weeks they're going to sift through options, and I would think leading to July 1, they'll make a decision. Imagine
when you're rolling through the bottom six, and you've got your guys on the team that are rolling out there, and then boom, Jonathan Toews throws his leg over, and he's got a big face off, and like, he's a guy that I would not be chattering my teeth going, oh my God, Toews is out there, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But again, with his pedigree, I imagine he's got something to prove, and he'll probably show you something.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.